Have you ever been a fan of something for so long you don't remember when you started liking it? Like, I don't remember when I started liking Batman or Spider-Man. Just as long as I can think of, I thought that these guys were awesome. Which is the same case for the blue robot I'm talking about today, Mega Man. Yeah, for the life of me, I can't remember what got me into the Blue Bomber. It had to be either the so bad it's good meme fodder cartoon, or getting plunked down in front of the TV with my cousins and watching them play the game. But anyways, I've been a fan of the series all my life, across its many iterations. The game I played the most is Mega Man 2, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the game I played the second most amount of times, Mega Man X. Again, no idea the first time I played this game, but I've been playing it all my life. However, besides the first game and its sequel, X2, I didn't play too much of the X series. No, I was more of a classic man, and then got into the Battle Network and Legend series. It wasn't until the X Legacy collection came out that let me play some of these other games that I've only ever heard of. So today I'm playing through the first part of the X collection, giving me X1, 2, 3, and 4. So just what is Mega Man X? In the year 2000X, Dr. Light revolutionized the world with his robots designed to help mankind. However, his fellow scientist, Dr. Wily, was tired of living in Light's shadow and took the most advanced robots, the Robot Masters, and reprogrammed them to help aid him in his plans to take over the world. With no hope in sight, Rock, Dr. Light's lab assistant and surrogate son, steps up and asks his father to transform him into a combat robot, so that he can stop his brother's rampage and end Wily's global domination. Rinse and repeat for over 11 times. Although at some point in the future, Dr. Light will have a breakthrough and find a way to make machines that can think and feel for themselves, resulting in X, the first Reploid. However, the old doctor's seen a few sci-fi movies or two and knows better than to just release this super advanced AI on the world, and seals X in a capsule for further testing. Years later, Dr. Light's lab is unearthed by Dr. Kane, who discovers X. And by studying his design, Dr. Kane is able to mass produce an entire race of Reploids, although it's not the shining utopia that Dr. Light envisioned, as Reploids and Mechanicloids can malfunction or go rogue and become Mavericks. To combat this, the Maverick Hunters were created, and X, feeling responsible for the death and destruction caused by the Mavericks, decided to join the Hunters. However, Sigma, the most powerful and leader of the Maverick Hunters, goes Maverick himself and declares a full-on Reploid insurrection, taking most of the Hunters with him, leaving the job up to X and his friend/mentor, Zero, to take out Sigma and all of his Maverick forces. Of course, when he starts his quest, X is immediately taken out by this cool Boba Fett looking guy named Val, and gets saved by Zero, who picks X up and encourages X to keep fighting as Zero believes X has the potential to even surpass himself. From there, X must take out the head Mavericks and take the battle to Sigma in his fortress lair. On the gameplay side of things, X is a good old-fashioned side-scroller, in which you can jump and shoot. New to the X series, X can slide down walls and can even wall jump to scale obstacles. Plus, once you get the leg parts, you can dash, speeding up the game exponentially. And just in case you're the one person out there who likes Mega Man but doesn't know this fact, after you defeat a boss, you obtain its weapon, which you can then use against another boss which will be weak to, and then repeat the cycle all over again. So usually the first boss is a bit of a challenge, then every other boss becomes a cakewalk. See Spark Mandrill syndrome. Lastly, beating certain bosses makes other bosses' stages easier, like beat Storm Eagles, and then his ship will then crash into Spark Mandrills, knocking out the electricity. But enough about that, let's get on to the games. I've got 4 to get through today, so here's my path to the platinum. Game 1, Mega Man X. So I start with the opening stage, which is just fantastic. Between the music and how the game naturally teaches you how to play, it's honestly one of the best intros in all of gaming. X tracks down the Maverick ship, only to get owned by Vile, who gets blasted by Zero. I start my journey with Chill Penguin because Mega Man X without the dash is just wrong. So yeah, the leg parts are just out in the open and good to go. Now I can dash and everything in the world is right again. Not far after that, I find a staple of the series, the ride armor. These giant mechanical suits that can be piloted by X and deal massive damage and can keep X safe from harm. Not long after progressing with my armor, I come across another bot piloting its own ride armor. Taking it out unlocks the first trophy, Gimp My Ride. I arrive at the boss door and take Chill Penguin out easily with a wall jump, making avoiding his attacks pretty simple. With the final shot, X defeats the flightless bird and unlocks the second trophy, In Buster We Trust, for taking out a boss with only using the Buster. I head to Storm Eagle's stage next to hear his amazing music, and grab a heart tank to increase my health right at the beginning of the stage, and a sub-tank a little further down to heal X in the middle of the stage. After a few blasts and jumps, I make my way to Storm Eagle, and blast him in the face, taking him out. Yeah, this isn't like the most effective route, but I was just having fun, and I wasn't really going for like, most effective run. Up next is Flame Mammoth stage. Because I already beat Chill Penguin, the lava is now frozen, making it easy to pick up another heart tank. And another boss goes down easy. With the fire wave in my buster, I backtrack to Chill Penguin stage for another heart tank, and Storm Eagle stage to grab the helmet parts, which will allow X to break through certain type of blocks with his head. After that, I head back to Flame Mammoth stage, break through these blocks to find the buster parts. Now I can charge my buster up to a higher level and fire this pink sweetness. It also allows X to charge his special weapons, pulling off even more effects. Alright, I'm ready to continue. Up next we run into Spark Mandrill stage. Since Storm Eagle's ship crashed into it, the mini boss is way easier. This thing is so annoying when it's charged up. And the boss? Well, there's a reason why they call it Spark Mandrill Syndrome. Up next is Armored Armadillo, which I have to say again, has just some amazing music. Probably my favorite in the series. While rocking out to this stage, I snab a snub and a heart tank on my way to the boss. Armored Armadillo's weakness is the electric shock, and getting hit with it will remove his armor and unlock the next trophy. Just plain Dillo. After that, I head over to the ocean for the Launch Octopuses stage. I take on the optional mini-boss for another heart tank. I personally find that Launch Octopus may be one of the hardest of the Mavericks, but I take him down just like all the others. Next, it's over to Boomer Kawanger stage. This giant tower climbing up to defeat the Beetle and get his boomerang cutter, which I then take back to Spark Mandrill stage to get the sub and the heart tank. I also backtrack to Flame Mammoth stage to grab a sub tank, which I forgot on my first trip. And then return to Boomer Kawanger stage to get another heart tank, thanks to the boomerang cutter. I continue the Maverick hunt by heading to Sting Chameleon stage next. Once there, I go into the hidden room where I have a mini boss. Beating the bot reveals the last Dr. Light capsule, where X receives the chest part, reducing damage received and completing the first armor, as well as unlocking a trophy. Not long after that, I drop down into a pit where water appears if Launch Octopus is defeated. Using the water, X is able to make a jump to the last heart tank and unlock Never Hearts to be careful. I make my way to the last of the Maverick bosses, Sting Chameleon. The boomerang cutter makes quick work of him, but I leave him with just a little bit of health, and then finish him off with a fully charged charge shot to unlock Pretty Devastating in pink. Now that I have every armor part, heart tank, and sub tank, I can also grab the last upgrade, Street Fighter's Hadoken. I return to the Armored Armadillo stage and play through it a couple times until the last light capsule appears at the end of the stage. Now I can throw fireballs like Ryu, which is a one-hit kill, but I need to have full health in order to fire it. With that done, I'm ready to start the endgame with Sigma's Fortress stages. The first stage is probably my least favorite. This platforming bit over a giant pit is a bit of pain, but it's not that bad. After that, X finds Zero caught by Vile and gets beaten again, but Zero sacrifices himself to destroy Vile's ride armor, evening the fight for X to take the win. After that, I have to deal with the stage's actual boss. The boss is annoying, only being vulnerable for a second after you play this stupid little game of where am I going to get to the bottom. The second stage is much better in my opinion. So something that I really like about this game, which I don't think any of the other games did, was space out the boss rush throughout the final stages. To my knowledge, the other games and even the classic games would just throw them all to you at once. Here, they show up more spaced out throughout the stages, and that just feels better. The boss rush can feel like a bit of a slog after, 5 or 6 bosses in a row. At least that's how I feel. The boss is super easy, to the point where I gotta wonder if someone messed up the boss order with the spider boss. Stage 3 is mostly a boss rush though, giving you one boss after another. While fighting the repeat of Flame Mammoth, I use the boomerang cutter to cut off his trunk and unlock the Nobody Knows My Sorrow trophy. The boss here is this cool dinosaur tank thing. I'd love to drive one of these, but it gets destroyed. On to the final stage in the showdown with Sigma. The fight starts with Sigma's dogbot that gets a one-shot with a Hadoken. Next, Sigma enters a brawl with his green lightsaber, and the fight ends as soon as it starts with another quick Hadoken. Sigma's head then joins with his giant fox body for the final battle. This body hits hard, but after a few rolling shields to the dome, Sigma and his revolution comes to an end. Beating the final boss will unlock It's Over, And since I wasn't playing on Rookie Hunter mode, I unlocked How Long Will He Keep Fighting. Rookie Hunter mode is an easy mode added to the Legacy Collection. I beat the game, but there are still 2 more trophies to unlock. First up, I used the password system to get to Sigma's Fortress, but missing the buster parts. This time, when I beat Vile, Zero will offer X his buster since his hasn't been upgraded yet. This will unlock Rearmed. Lastly, I exit the game and start up the Japanese version of the game. Here I play through the intro stage, again hearing that awesome music, and unlock the last trophy. He's actually called Vava, a reference to Vile's Japanese name. This trophy could be earned in any game, but it just felt to do it for X1. So X2. Not a lot to say about it since it's really just more the same. In fact, its big special feature is wireframes. Yeah, this game uses some kind of special chip to make these wireframe enemies, so the cartridge sold for more. So I never really played it until my teenage years of emulation. Then I played X1 more than 2, which kind of follows for 3 and 4. The backstory for this one is that Sigma's forces have survived X's assault from the first game, and now being led by 3 mysterious figures called the X Hunters. These Mavericks continue Sigma's revolution and plot X's destruction. So like the last game, X2 starts with an intro stage, which is fine. But after X1's, it comes off as weak. I just don't know how you follow up that. The chaser bikes were a nice touch though. You beat the giant Mechaniloid, and then the X-Hunters unleash the Mavericks upon the world as they buy time to complete some kind of secret project. So I start with Wheel Gator's Tank Brigade and think something's wrong with my screen with the way the stage vibrates. I really like the upgrades to the X-Armor. Wheel Gator was kind of hard until I found I could just stand right in front of him and avoid most of his attacks. Up next is Bubble Crab. Here I grab my first hard tank with some good wall dashing, and Bubble Crab goes down really easy to the spin wheel. After this, the X-Hunters reveal themselves and their project of reviving Zero. They've gathered and repaired Zero's body, now split into 3 parts, only lacking his control chip to revive him. Dr. Kane has said chip, so the X-Hunters challenge X to a fight, offering up a Zero part for their control chip. Winner take all. How this plays out is that in the stages in which there is still a boss to be eliminated, there will be an alternate route that you can to another boss room, where you'll fight the X-Hunter. I go with Flame's Stag stage next, and ride this beetle up to get my first sub-tank. The stage itself is a real challenge for me. I really suck at going up fast with the wall jump. After dying a few times, I decide to just give up and head over to Overdrive Ostrich. I find myself an alternate route here using the spin wheel, and find myself up against the X-Hunter Violin. It's a close fight, but with the bubble splash, I'm able to pull out a win and claim Zero's body. Nice. After a cool chaser bike sequence, I use another spin wheel on these weird blocks to discover a light capsule. Here I get the leg parts, allowing an air dash. Oh yeah, I beat the boss too. I head next to Moth's junkyard, which looks pretty cool, but I hate these mini bosses. It's easy to hit their head doing no damage, and it goes on for too long, and it's not even that hard, it's just annoying. I find an alternate route this time, leading to Surges, who I take out with some well-placed charge shots. This earns me my second Zero part, his head. This stage's Maverick, Moth, starts in a cocoon and sucks up junk. Attacking it will progress the fight to the second stage, where it will be in its moth form. However, to earn my first trophy in X2, I don't attack and just dodge until he naturally exits his cocoon, and then I take him out. Next, X heads out to Wire Sponge's stage and grabs the heart tank right away. The stage's weather is constantly changing, making rain that push X back, but nothing he can't deal with. This Maverick always bugged me kind of. All these animals, bugs, and then this sponge. I know it's a plant, but it still just kind of seems weird to me. Anyway, I beat him up with his weakness to the Sonic Slicer and cut him in half to unlock the next trophy. Half the sponge she used to be. I take another upgrade break and backtrack to Wheel Gator stage, and wall jump and then an air dash to get to the next Dr. Light capsule. Here I get the buster parts, and now I can fire a double charge shot, or I can also charge my special weapons. After that, I head back to Moth stage and use a charged spin wheel to dig up another Dr. Light capsule. Here I get the body parts. Like last time, it reduces damage by half, but this time the damage you receive is built up, and when maxed out, X can unleash a Giga Crash, causing a screen nuke that will take out most normal enemies, but only a little damage against normal bosses. Lastly, I swing by Wire Sponge stage to grab another sub-tank. With that, I head for my least favorite stage, Magna Centipede. The stage has a bunch of searchlights and boxes that can drop off the roof, So instead of my usual dash and blast, I have to go slow and keep my distance from these boxes. The boss has an interesting gimmick in that he can grab and hack X, disabling most of his abilities, end the fight fast, before the X-Buster turns into a pea shooter. Up next is Crystal Snail. Here I drop down into a pit and find a hidden path where I can find the final Dr. Light capsule. Here I get the helmets, revealing breakable blocks, but I'm playing off memory and using a guide for the others, so it's pretty useless to me. But I bet back in the 90s when this game first came out, it must have been really helpful for finding all those power-ups. This also unlocks the next trophy, Second Armor. I almost forgot about the last X-Hunter, so I return to the stage select and head to Flame Stag. With my armor, I'm able to tank a few hits and survive the lava this time. I find Agile's room easy, taking out the sword spot and receiving the last of Zero's parts, his legs. Nothing more to say about Flame Stag. I get him in the corner with a bubble slash and he gets stuck in a loop, dying fast. Back to backtracking. I go right back to Flame Stag to get the missing heart tank that I couldn't get. And then Magna Centipedes to get another one. Then over to Bubble Crabs for a sub-tank. Lastly, Magna Centipede again for its annoying sub-tank that I kept on missing. How am I supposed to know to go up there? Finally, I returned as Crystal Snail to end the Maverick threat. During our fight, I stopped right before I was about to finish him off, leaving him with just a sliver of health. I then finish him off using the Giga Crush to unlock the trophy, Dodge This.
Dodge this.
With the last Maverick down, Dr. Kane finds the X-Hunter's base, but I still have a few more heart tanks to collect. With a life bar maxed out, X heads on to the X-Hunter stage. The first one kicks my ass. These little dicks grab the walls, pulling them together, and X gets crushed a lot. Eventually I beat up and I'm able to get through, just find another sequence just for it to be the easiest of them all. You suck. The rest of the stage is easy compared to those freaking jumping parts. Violin is the first boss, and his fight is just like last one, except he has platforms to jump on. I take him down in advance. Second X-Hunter stage is a cakewalk compared to the last one. The only thing of note being here is the boss. Beating him in English doesn't really reveal anything. Beating him in Japanese and he'll say how he regrets being defeated by a creation of Dr. Light. This started the fan theory that Dr. Wily, the villain of the classic series, is still around and just in digital form, moving body to body, but we'll get more into this when I get into X4 and 6 where it's more relevant. Third X-Hunter stage. So the first one kicked my ass and I was like, okay, it's just my lack of skill. But stage 3 just sucks. You gotta go through this long platform ride up on this platform which changes direction with a jump. It sucks, it's slow, and it's super easy to mess up. You have to start all over again. I would take 100 of a bit next one over this, and then you get to the checkpoint. Then you have to do the next part, which is just like the worst in the entire series. You gotta go through this secret bit using Crystal Hunter to freeze a bat and then climb up this ladder. You'll come to this corridor full of spikes and enemies. And I die here over and over and over again. Eventually I get through it, only find a new layer of hell. The last part has X dashing over a floor spikes and then having to speed burn dash backwards before landing on another platform. And it just, I died here like a billion times. Just not worth it at all. And then I finally do it. I finally get through it, just to find the thing isn't here. I took a damage. I had to do it with full health. So I eventually do it again, and I get back there. This time I have full health, and I see the final Dr. Light capsule. Here X learns another Street Fighter move, the Shoryuken, another insta-kill as long as X has full health, and unlocks the Attack Me If You Dare trophy. The rest of the stage is just fine. The boss doesn't even get a second in before I dragon punch him and then leave his pain in the ass of a stage he calls home. Last stage, and we find the staple I talked about last time, the boss rush. All X has to do is beat every boss in the game, but with all the health and upgrades, it's not really much of a challenge. After a bit of Magna Centipede stage for some reason, we are face to face with Sigma, who built his own Zero. But before you can fight the black fake, the real Zero shows up and takes out the fake. I guess Dr. Kane rebuilt him in the meantime. Sigma runs off and Zero breaks open the floor, allowing X to skip the stage and go straight to the Sigma fight. If X missed the Zero parts, he'd have to fight Zero. But since I collected his parts, he arrives to X's aid and I unlock the next trophy, Zero Squared. Sigma has swapped out his lightsaber for a pair of Wolverine claws. He's fast and can hit like a dump truck. The Sonic Slicer makes quick work of him. The next form explains how Sigma returned. He's now a computer virus that inhabits the bodies that X has been fighting. The virus tries to destroy X, but after a few Shoryukens and some strike chains, he's down for now. Defeated Sigma asks why Zero would stand against him, since Zero is the last of the Doctor's creations. Intriguing, but once again, we'll talk about this more once we get to X4 where it's more relevant. Once again, beating the game unlocks It's Really Over, and beating the game without Rookie Hunter unlocks The Price of Peace is Often High. But I'm still not done with X2, as there are still 3 trophies I missed during my playthrough. First, I have to start a new game and beat the opening stage with full health. I could be careful and good, or I can just turn on Rookie Hunter mode and take on no damage. Man, I'm taking the easy way out. This unlocks Size Matters Not.
Size matters not.
Up next, I use the password system to have everyone but Magma Centipede taken out and have all power-ups. Here I go Solid Snake and avoid all searchlights and beat the stage. This takes numerous attempts, but eventually I get perfect run and destroy the boss, unlocking Covert Ops. Lastly, I have to use the Silk Shot to grab a pickup. This was something I was completely unaware of, but I don't really know how I was supposed to know that if I fully charge a weapon at random points, pickups would appear. I don't know, but doing so unlocks Friendly Neighborhood Mega Man, the final trophy of X3. Game 3, Mega Man X3. So I played X2 a couple times back in the day, but when it comes to X3, I only remember trying it once or twice. So there's this guy named Doppler, and apparently he's found a cure for being a Maverick, and built a little robo paradise called Doppler Town. Nice for him. But before the intro can finish, something goes wrong, and Doppler Town declares war on the world, so X and Zero are dispatched to stop them. And yeah, you heard right, Zero's dispatched. This time I can control Zero, and it kinda sucks. You see, X is still the main character, and can only call in Zero to temporarily take over, but he won't fight mini-bosses or Mavericks, and if he loses a life, he's gone for the rest of the game. Other than that, it's still more of the same 16-bit Mega Man X action. Well, I can tell you one big difference in this game is that everyone hits like a truck. Everything does way more damage, and I got my ass kicked on every stage. Man, I'm starting to think maybe I just suck at the X series. But I persist and grab a couple heart tanks and 2 sub-tanks and the leg parts and then a ride armor chip. Then finally I'm able to win a fight against a boss, Gravity Beetle. Now things get easier and Blast Hornet is a joke with the gravity well. Here's where things get a bit familiar. Doppler is pissed that X is taking out his Mavericks, so he dispatches his lackeys, Bit and Bite, along with the returning Vile, to take X out. Now these guys select the X Hunter's alternate routes that lead to an optional boss fight. I roll through Blizzard Buffalo and Toxic Seahorse and head to Tunnel Rhino. Here I find an alternate path to reach Bit. I take him out without using any special weapons to earn my first X3 trophy. Speed isn't everything. I also take out Tunnel Rhino while I'm here. I backtrack to Blast Hornet stage and use my new Tornado Fang to break open a path to the base ride armor, allowing X to use ride armors in other stages, which I immediately use in Blizzard Buffalo stage for another heart tank. I use the Tornado Fang again in Neon Tiger stage, break open a path to the Buster parts, which gives X this multi-blast charge shot. It's not my favorite Buster upgrade, I just don't find it as useful against the later bosses. With the Buster parts I head over to Volt Catfish, and using a fully charged gravity well, make this platform rise, revealing another light capsule. Here X receives the armor parts, reducing damage, like always, but this time it also creates an energy shield when X takes damage. And Volt Catfish goes down easy with the Tornado Fang. I backtrack to Tunnel Rhino stage and using a fully charged Triad Thunder, break open the rock obstacles to gain another heart tank and the last Dr. Light capsule. These helmet parts allow X to scan the level and reveal the secrets. Now, like the last helmet parts, before we had the internet, I bet this was a godsend. But nowadays, it's just kind of annoying since X will scan the level every time you start a stage, wasting time I'd rather spend playing the game. Anyway, this unlocks the next trophy, Third Armor. X backtracks to Volt Catfish to pick up a missing heart tank, and then use a ride armor to get the last sub-tank. Then over to Toxic Seahorse's stage to grab another ride armor chip. Alright, time to resume the hunt with Crushed Crawfish, using a new ride armor to break open a room with a heart tank. This stage has another obstacle that a charged Triad Thunder will destroy. Man, how am I supposed to figure that out? Anyway, this leads to the final ride armor chip and unlocks all units stand by. And Crushed Crawfish goes down too. I go back to Volt Catfish's stage again and take an alternate route to find the Vile teleporter and have a rematch with him. The spinning blade makes quick work of Vile and he runs away, leaving his base to explode and unlocking Fight Fair. time to finish things. I head over to Neon Tiger stage and find Bite. We fight, and I only use the buster so that I can lock powers and everything when I take the bot down. After that, I take out Neon Tiger, the last Maverick with a spinning blade, and enter the endgame. Dr. Kane reveals he scanned the Mavericks and learned that Doppler is trying to build the ultimate battle body. But not for him. Whoever could it be? Sigma. And Sigma, it's always Sigma. Doppler stage 1 kicked my ass. Are you surprised at this point? This bit with the spike ceiling took a couple tries to get the jumping down, and then another bit of wall climbing that kills X if he isn't fast enough. I die here more than I care to mention, but I eventually get my shit together and eventually pull it off. Zero helps out with the mini-boss, and after that, since I found everything and avoided the upgrade chips, I can find the pink light capsule where he'll give X the hyper chip. You see, besides the armor parts, X could find upgrade chips too. However, you can only install one chip at a time, and if you use any of them, X can't get the hyper chip. The hyper chip gives X all the upgrade chips in one and turn X's armor gold. So now X can air dash twice, take less damage, the hyper charge, and regenerate health while standing still. Getting the hyper chip unlocks Always Believe in Your Soul. Boss of this stage is a Bit and Bite fused together into this thing. Well, with all the upgrades X has, this boss isn't too bad. The next stage has the final upgrade, but it takes a bit of setup. I sub in Zero before the mini boss and take it out just to have it crash into Zero, taking him out of the fight. But he gives X his Z-Saber, giving him another charge attack, and unlocks He Wanted You to Have This. The rest of the stage sucks with these slow moving elevators you need to hit to keep going up. Then it has this octopus boss that goes down to 2 saber slashes. Another Doppler stage, another boss rush. Then X faces the Big D himself. He has an annoying attack that heals him, so X has to really time his shots. I guess getting his shit kicked made Doppler regain his senses, and he asks X to stop Sigma's new battle body that he built. Sigma's traded in the Wolverine claws for a whole new bag of tricks. He's got a shield that can block most attacks, even the Z-Saber slash, but with good timing, X can take him out with ease. Sigma then reveals his ultimate battle body, which goes down just as easy to the Z-Saber. Sigma then reveals his virus form and tries to melt X with lava, but then Doppler shows up and allows Sigma to infect him, only to reveal that he has created a vaccine for Sigma's virus. They both blow up with the base and X escapes and stands on a cliff lamenting his fate once again. Beating the game unlocks It's Over, right? And to save mankind if you beat it without using Rookie Hunter mode. Still 2 trophies for X3 to get, so I use the password to get a bunch of upgrades and go fight Vile again. This time I beat him only using the buster to unlock Persistence Isn't Everything. Lastly, I have to beat Sigma without using the hyper chip. I use the password system again, get myself to Sigma with everything except the hyper chip, instead of taking the armor chip upgrade. Again, this is super easy since the Z-Saber just slices Sigma like a hot knife through butter. And with that final slash, I'm done with X3 and unlock Extreme Danger. Game 4, Mega Man X4. Alright, X4, the game that jumped from the Super Nintendo to the PS1. And we've got a bunch of changes. Visuals have been updated but still look great. All the sprites look gorgeous. Stages have now been broken up into 2 acts. And getting a game over once reaching Act 2 will allow X just to restart at the beginning of Act 2. I find this change makes the game a lot easier. Also, the game now has animated cutscenes just like Mega Man 8. And just like Mega Man 8, the voice acting is all pretty awful.
You are dismissed.
What?
I will not betray the humans. Remove yourself from my sight. My business with you has concluded.
Very well. But you will change your mind soon, I assure you.
The translation and writing for the English version is pretty terrible too. Big revelations happen and the lines after just don't match. At least they finally let me play as Zero and not have it be temporary. No, this time he gets his own playthrough, which is about time. So the story this time is that a group of Reploids called Reploids wants its own independence, but some shadowy figure that definitely isn't Sigma tells the leader General that the hunters won't allow them to live their lives and to strike first, but General won't be swayed into attacking the hunters, nor even by alarm by Sigma's crazy laughing. Anyway, the Maverick hunters get a call that the Sky Lagoon is under Maverick assault, and X is deployed to bust some bots. After fighting a bit, X finds another hunter, Magma Dragoon. He tells X that the Mavericks have destroyed the generator, so the city is going to crash into another city underneath, killing thousands. However, there's nothing X can do, and it's too late to fix the generator. All X can do is warp out of the Sky Lagoon and come back after the explosion. I think this marks a change in tone that we'll see carry over the next couple games, as the X series gets a little darker. X runs through the city ruins until he finds the Maverick dragon that attacked the Sky Lagoon, and takes it out. Then an officer of Rebel Force, Colonel, shows up, looking for his sister Iris, and X just immediately suspects him, and asks him to come in for questioning, and refuses X, who says this will get all of Rebel Force banded as Mavericks. Colonel is fine with this and pretty much just declares war and runs off. Right after, General addresses the masses and declares their independence despite their branding as Mavericks. And all I can think of is, does Rebel Force not have any negotiators or diplomats or anyone? Because it seems like this all could be solved with just a few words. Hell, it just seems like being told to lay down their arms triggered Colonel, and if X had worded differently, this whole conflict would have been avoided, but then what of Rebel Force's pride? So just like the 3 previous times, X has 8 Mavericks to hunt down. This time he has a new friend, a rookie hunter named Double, to chat with in between stages. First up is Frost Walrus. His stage is pretty cool. I like this little ice sliding thing. The mini boss killed me a few times. It's a bit of a dick, but eventually I got past it and found the new upgrade, a weapon tank, which is pretty much what it sounds like, just a sub-tank for weapon energy. Oh, and bosses now say a few lines before we fight. Frost Walrus says he's gonna make this quick and easy for me. After that, I head over to Jet Stingray's stage, which is now a Jet Chaser level, which will become a new staple of the series, these auto-scrollers. With a few well-timed jumps and boosts, I nab both the heart and the sub-tank, dying several times in the process. But it's all good, since the Stingray goes down easy to the Frost Tower. Up next is Slash Beast, who's got a pretty cool train level, with a constant threat of being disconnected from the rest of the train. Here I find one of this game's versions of the ride armor, which is sporting this cool beam blade out of its fist, which just looks sick. And the heart tank is just out in the open with no requirements I could see. I don't know, maybe I blew something up without noticing. And Slash Beast tells me how foolish it is to challenge his unit. Onto the jungle, home of Web Spider. Here I get the first of X's armor, his leg parts, allowing X to hover in the air and do a little air dash. Web Spider is a tricky bitch though. His webs stick X in place, allowing him to get an easy hit. After he goes down, we get a call from Colonel. He calls X and challenges him to a duel. X immediately answers the call, which is kind of annoying since it would have been nice to give it a chance to refill my sub-tanks, so I wouldn't have to die over and over and over again to Colonel's blade. But eventually I get his patterns down and get the win. With that out of the way, I backtrack to Frost Walrus stage and use the lightning web to make a platform to wall jump off of to grab the EX tank, letting X start each stage now with 2 more lives. I get back on track with Split Mushroom, his stage being this dope spiral staircase. His mini boss is a dick though, destroying the platforms underneath X, making every move count, or you'll die. Before facing the boss, I use Lightning Web to grab another heart tank. Split Mushroom's health bar doesn't show the Rebel Force emblem, but instead the Maverick symbol. And he even says he's working for someone mysterious, and can X even guess who it is? I like that not all the bosses are Rebel Force, since we know that Sigma's already out there manipulating the situation. Cyber Peacock stage is next, and his cyberspace stage has an interesting gimmick. Depending on how fast X can get through the section, he'll be rewarded with a rank. The best rank, S, will take X to an extra room where he can find a heart tank, sub-tank, and helmet parts. The helmet parts give X unlimited special ammo. Now this is a helmet upgrade. Cyber Peacock is a cakewalk with Soul Body, and is another Sigma lackey. Storm Owl's Airship Armada is next. You think he's related to Storm Eagle back from 1? The stage is pretty cool. X can find another ride armor. This one has a jet booster allowing X to fly for a bit. Another easy heart tank is just out in the open. Well, the platform will be destroyed if X isn't fast enough. A tricky jump and lightning web takes X to where he can find the Buster capsules. Oh yeah, that's right, you heard me, Buster capsules. X can have 2 different Buster upgrades. One Buster will let X charge and store up to 4 charge shots. The other gives X the plasma shot and fires a giant blast that lingers where it hits and does additional damage. I go with the plasma shot. It takes me a few seconds to understand how aiming the laser works, but eventually get the hang of it and Storm Eagle goes down. Last up is Magma Dragoon in his volcano lair. Once again, the lightning web proves to be the MVP of the game, letting me grab another heart tank. Later on, I use the fully charged Twin Slasher to break open a rock wall, revealing the final light capsule. These body parts reduce damage like before and gives X the Nova Strike. This also unlocks my first X4 trophy, 4th armor. Further on, I grab a ride armor and take the lower path, breaking the rocks. This leads me to Magma Dragoon. He admits that it was him that sabotaged the Sky Lagoon just because he wanted to fight X. So of course, he's another Sigma goon. I saved the ride armor for later. fighting him with his weakness, the double cyclone, but I finish him off with the right armor to unlock He Brought Fists to a mech fight. I quickly backtrack to Frost Walrus and Web Spider stage and use the Rising Fire to get the remaining heart tanks. With that, I grind up my lives and energy in Frost Walrus until my lives and tanks are full. This unlocks Fully Charged. X departs for the spaceport and he has his rematch with Colonel. He dies and tells X it's too late to stop them and Rebel Force will create its own nation in space. I take a quick break to fire off some charge shots of the special weapons to unlock Pew Pew. Pew Pew! Selecting the next stage plays an animated cutscene. Here it's revealed that Double is a Sigma goon, killing his fellow hunters and declaring X is next. X blasts off to space and gets to the Rebel Force space station, where he comes across Double, calling everyone idiots and telling X to think it over in heaven before he launches his attacks. His attacks are relentless, but he goes down to the double cyclone, and that was only half of the stage. I blast through the next half of the stage and arrive at General, who says they had no choice to fight, and I'm just like, you guys did nothing to solve this problem, and just made it worse. General goes down, and the space station begins to shake as the main cannon fires up. Well, General tells X he has to hurry and save the Earth. Another final stage, another boss rush. Beat the bosses again to face the mysterious figure and gasp! It's Sigma! He gloats about how easy it was to manipulate everyone into fighting. His first form resembles a reaper as he floats around and slashes with his scythe. A few rising fires and the cloak is off, revealing Sigma's new body. He throws his scythe around and plants it in the wall, sending sparks along the ground, and his eyes can fire beams, just to name a bit of his arsenal. His next form is weak to the lightning web, and his platforms make dodging his attacks a breeze. His body explodes along with the floor, taking X deeper in the engine, revealing that Sigma has bonded with the engine and has created 2 additional bodies along with these elemental heads. The Ground Hunter, Soul Body, and Plasma Shot do great work, and eventually Sigma goes down for the 4th time. But it's too late as the cannon is about to fire. However, General appears and sacrifices himself to destroy the space station. With that, X jumps in his ship and heads back to Earth, thinking about the events of the game and asks Zero to kill him if he ever decides to go Maverick. Zero dismisses this and the credits roll. Beating the 2 Sigmas unlocks a bunch of trophies. It's definitely over for just beating the game. Promise Me Zero for beating X's story. True Hero for beating Sigma without using the ultimate armor as X. Half the Saga for beating X 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Tragic Destiny for beating X4 without using Rookie Hunter mode. However, I did miss 1 trophy as X, so I load up my file and go back to the boss rush and finish off Web Spider with a Nova Strike to unlock It Ain't Over Till It's Nova. With that, I start a new game and select Zero as my character. Zero feels just right to play as. His saber slashes and his speed just control great. His scenario is similar to X's, but instead of talking to Double, Zero talks to Iris from Extreme 2, and it happens to be the brother of Colonel. Instead of the scene with Sigma in general, it's a scene of Zero waking up. He hears a man calling out to him and giving Zero visions of Sigma and other dead Reploids, but Zero brushes off and heads to the Sky Lagoon. So as Zero, I go through the bosses again, acquiring techniques along the way. Zero will have to use all of his techniques to unlock the Way of the Saber. Instead of fighting Double, Zero will have to deal with Iris. After her brother's death at the hands of Zero, Iris falls into a deep despair, summoning some ride armor and attacks Zero. Zero takes her down and I get to experience a scene that I've seen countless times. So Zero continues through Rebel Force Space Station and confronts Sigma, where Sigma reveals that he discovered Zero as a berserk killing machine. It wasn't until after Sigma smashed Zero's head crystal, making the Wily symbol vanish, that Zero calmed down. So with that, and the image of Dr. Wily calling out to Zero, we can deduce what was hinted at the end of X2, that Zero was actually built by Dr. Wily and is the origin of the Maverick virus. The theory is that this is what corrupted Sigma, infecting him with the Maverick virus, which Zero was carrying. Zero makes quick work of Sigma and deals with a bit of an existential crisis, and I unlock the final trophy for X4, Mavericks After All. Now that the main games are done, all that I have between me and the Platinum are the extras. First, I browse through the image gallery of every title. Looking at least 20 images from every title unlocks the secret wallpaper. Setting it up as the current wallpaper will unlock Reconnaissance Complete. Now I watch the collection's credits, which allow me to control X and blast the names. Blast enough to get Re-Future to appear in the corner to unlock Identity Erased. I decided to try out the Legacy Collection's original content, the X Challenges, where X must fight 2 bosses from different games at the same time. Do this 3 times to win a round. Honestly, this is super cool, and something that I absolutely suck at. Come on, you've seen all my deaths. but I can put on easy and make the thing a cakewalk, so that's just what I did. I went through the first round without using any special weapons, taking down Chill Penguin and Frost Walrus with just the X-Buster to unlock Elite. After finishing that round, I checked the leaderboards to check my rank, and unlocked What's Your Hunter rank. Now I just have to complete every other round in the X challenges. Some of these combos are pretty cool, and even on easy, they can turn the game into a bullet hell with all their attacks. Doing this will unlock A-Class Hunter. Lastly, I just go back to the gallery and listen to 10 songs from every game. This plus unlocking a song in X challenge will unlock audio signal incoming. And that's it. With every other trophy unlocked, I unlock the Platinum SA Class Hunter. So, was it worth my time? Well, when it comes to X1, it was definitely worth my time. Getting everything and unlocking the Hadoken is just my preferred way to play this game. X2? I don't like this as much as X1. It's probably just my lack of skills and the fact that I played more of X1 and Maverick Hunter, but it still had awesome music and more of that classic Mega Man X platforming for the most part. I just hate some of the route to completion and would probably just skip the Shoryuken on repeats. X3? I don't really know what to say. I feel this one is pretty unremarkable besides the damage at the start of the game being just a bit of a dick. I don't know guys, Doppler just seemed a little lame to me and his flunkies really didn't do much for me either. Seeing Vile again was kinda cool, though I get how Sigma comes back every game with a new body, but where's the explanation for Vile? Zero is pretty cool, just poorly implemented. I like the look of the Hyper Chip, shame this is the only game to feature it. It's not the best, but it's still a good game. X4 though? Whoo boy, I think this might be my new favorite of the series now that I've beaten it. Yeah, it's got its issues in the presentation, but the gameplay is just so sick. Jumping and shooting is peak Mega Man. Plus getting to play as Zero and not having restrictions on when to use him is just so freaking awesome. Some of the story works, mainly Zero's backstory, and not.
What am I fighting for?
Yeah, I had a great time despite all the deaths, and like Yoda said in that movie everyone loves,
The greatest teacher, failure is.
getting X all maxed out in his armor is so cool and feels great seeing our blue boy reaching his potential. So I'm giving the Mega Man X Legacy Collection Part 1 a gold trophy. If I broke it down by game, it would look something like this. So that's the show. Thank you all for watching. Have you guys played the X Legacy Collection? Have you completed it? Let me know down in the comments as well as what other games I should try to unlock all the trophies for. I'm Dr. Rossbotnik, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Unlocked. Take her easy.